Hi guys, my name is Goldbug from Only Terra Mystica, and in this video I want to talk about Terra Mystica and why I like the game so much. So remember back to the year 2012, in my opinion the world became a much better place in this year because this was the year that Helge Ostertag and Jens Drögemüller, the designers of Terra Mystica, first published its original version. And the game immediately appealed to a niche market of a subset of players who weren't put off by the learning curve that confronts you when you first experience the game. Indeed, the opportunity to be able to master the game and other aspects such as all the information being provided in the setup of the game so you can pre-plan your entire game, so minimizing the luck element really appeals to myself and its intensely passionate, although relatively small, army of fans. So one could certainly say that these and other reasons, it doesn't really appeal to a mass market audience. In my experience, non-gamers and many gamers alike are put off by the complexity of the game, the theme of the game, the mechanics. Certainly some don't appreciate the cult tracks and they say that they appear to be sort of tacked on. And above all, the duration of the game. A first game with a rules explanation included can easily run into several hours. Some players will be put off when they realise that because of their initial decisions, they have little or no chance of winning right from very early in the game. And they see themselves as having to sit through hours of play just to get to the finish. And still others tend to jump to conclusions that Terra Mystica, with its asymmetric factions, is somehow too unbalanced for them and therefore not worthy of bringing to the table. I don't agree with any of these negative criticisms. For me, the challenge of Terra Mystica provides its appeal and is certainly not a reason to cast the game aside. It does take a long time to learn and to get to grips with what is happening and start to see the big picture, so to speak. But I certainly remember my first view of the Snellman site where the world's elite players do TM battle online, and I had no clue what was happening. To me, it just seemed like a mass of options and colors and shapes that somehow painted this big, beautiful picture that I just couldn't see. But I was intrigued, to say the least. The rewarding feeling that eventually comes from moving up that learning curve and eventually starting to win games and see yourself move up the rankings is reason to love the game. I mean, why do players expect to be competitive in their first game? Would they expect to win at chess in their first game? And people don't seem to mind investing the time and effort to learn a game like that. Terra Mystica is a long playing game, it's true. The downtime can be an off-putter, but with online play there is much less of that. Also, not to be overlooked with Terra Mystica is the community that has formed around the game. There is some statistic, I believe I read somewhere, that a Terra Mystica player thinks about the game Terra Mystica at least once every 4 minutes. I think that's what it was. But anyway, I believe that TM attracts a special kind of person, usually with a level of intelligence and humility enough to realize his own shortcomings. Not inclined to gloat over a win, but more inclined to share his knowledge and love of the game with others. The community of players also have contributed towards the development of the game, having developed the Fjords map and the Loon Lakes map, which incidentally is my favourite map of all. The community also actively works towards developing new factions. Then came the expansions that only add to the number of strategies and depth of the game. Rather than taking a development line akin to other games that attempt to broaden their appeal by producing a family version, by watering down its options and its rules, Terra Mystica creators, proud of the game's self-defining qualities, doubled down on its strengths, producing mini expansions and a major expansion, the Fire and Ice. Expansion with more maps and 6 new and interesting factions. There is another expansion due to be released in 2019, I believe, called Age of Innovation, Terra Mystica Age of Innovation. This will be set in the same Terra Mystica landscape, but further into the future. By all accounts, Terra Mystica is to become ever more varied and complex with new factions that have variable abilities and variable stronghold abilities to be purchased at the beginning of the game. New favor tiles and a new resource, which I believe is a knowledge resource, a set of technology tiles, and perhaps an enhanced way of playing, perhaps a two-player game. I very much look forward to this. And if you are waiting for a simplified version, my advice is to not hold your breath. Terra Mystica is also growing in its online presence. We can play against the top ranked players in the world on the Snellman site, where there are league games held every 2 months, I believe, and a popular Fire and Ice ladder competition. The best players use this site to sift through statistics, which they might use to develop a new strategy and create discussions with other players online. There is an excellent Terra Mystica app produced by Digidiced that has another community of avid players from around the world who play ranked games and challenge each other to friendly games on the various maps. An online game can easily take a month or so to play, but with the ability to play several continuous games, it's not really a problem. This year, Board Game Arena, Tabletopia, and Yukata, which is a German gaming website, have also come out with online versions of the game. I'm only familiar with the Board Game Arena version, but this is where I go to get a live version of the game. Obviously, with this, the waiting times are far less than, say, on other places. The browser-based game that you get on the Board Game Arena site only has the base version of the game. But I think this, although I myself would like to play with all the expansion factions and different maps, I think it's actually a good thing because it provides a good conduit for new players to get into Terra Mystica without drowning them in options and so many different factions right from the word go. And BGA is attracting more and more skilled players as the months progress. And I've noticed it's becoming especially popular in Taiwan. So why do I prefer Terra Mystica to, say, another game that you can learn and master like chess? Well, I enjoy the 4-player version of the game Terra Mystica. In chess, you are either a winner or a loser. There's no sort of consolation for playing well if you're still second and therefore the loser last. But with Terra Mystica, a second-place finish can be rewarding and even boost your ranking. Even being third under certain circumstances in a 4-player game can even boost your ranking and give you a feeling of success. Actually, Terra Mystica, I don't actually mind losing the game because I know that I've learned something. So I prefer Terra Mystica also because of its variability of setup and the different play styles of each faction. Although theme is not so important to me when playing a board game, the different factions do have a certain feel to them, more in their play style than their backstory. This is not true with the black and white of chess. Also, the various maps with their rivers and continents are so much more visually appealing and provide so much more variation than that of chess. In general, talking solely about Terra Mystica, my favourite mechanic within the game is area control, and the power management is a genius and unique invention in my opinion. But overall, with Terra Mystica, it's the way that several mechanics harmoniously mesh together to produce a real puzzle of a game, a perfect information game that allows you to plan your strategy from start and only blame yourself for failure rather than, say, poor dice rolls or some unlucky card draw. Terra Mystica is my perfect game. My game-hopping tendencies stopped the moment I discovered Terra Mystica. I hope that Terra Mystica continues to grow in popularity and become a classic throughout the long term. Terra Mystica is a challenge that is not for some, but what a challenge, what a game. Guys, thanks for watching.